Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is a Pinterest inspired tutorial. For some time I've been in love with this very dress or this very pattern of having this rush or printed effects in front, which you can actually have a top for that or a longer dress if you so wish. But for the longest, this has been on my call and I finally answered it. So don't forget to subscribe, and without any further ado, let's get into the video proper. For the video on how to draft out a basic bodice pattern, I'll be linking out in the description box. The first line I have here, which is the shoulder line. The next, we have the armhole line. Third, we have bust point, under bust, the half length, which is also the waistline, the hip line, and then the full length. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark all my round measurements on this. The first thing I'm going to mark is the bust points, which I'll be marking my round bust measurement divided by 4. Do the same thing to the waistline, the under bust, the hip line, and also the full length. Now what I have on the hip line is what I bring to the full length. I'll go ahead with my ruler and connect those lines together. Make sure to take your time to connect them neatly. Next, we are marking the neckline. I mark 3.3 inches for the neck width, and then I mark 1.5 inch for the neck depth. I'm going to connect that with my curve ruler. Mind you, this pattern is for the back piece. Now I'll go ahead with my scissors and cut everything out. Next is the front pattern of the dress. Now I brought out the excess pattern remaining. I'm going to mark 1.5 inch, which is going to be for the bottom band, as you can see in the picture over the screen. Now I'm going to connect those lines together with a straight line. I'm going to take my back pattern paper and I'm going to place it starting from where the bottom band starts. Now I'm going to trace from the shoulder down to the armhole line, and then I'm going to go ahead and define the armhole of the front. That is because we said the front armhole is supposed to be more defined, which is because we do not want it to have bulky or excess fabric on the armhole. Now go ahead with my curve ruler and connect them together, and then I'll trace out the remaining bodies. Don't forget, all your measurement starts from where the bottom band starts. Next, we are going to mark the neckline. I use 3 inches for the depth and 3 inches for the width, as you can see. Don't forget, everything starts from where the bottom band ends. Now go ahead with my scissors and cut all of that out, and we have our front piece. Now I'm going to cut the bottom band and I'm going to keep that aside. I'll go back with my back pattern paper again, and I'm going to trace out the basic bodice lines, which is starting from the bust point to the hip line. I'll connect those lines together because they're going to help me get the slash and spread. Now I'm marking 2 inches all through, and I'm connecting them with a straight line. Do also use a red marker if possible, but I understood what I was doing here. But in case you are going to mix it up, make sure to use another color of marker. Now I'm going to cut them open as seen, but I'm not going to cut everything out. Now we are going to start cutting our pattern on the fabric. This fabric is very stretchy, and that is why I did not add a sewing allowance to this. In fact, I even need it lesser than my actual measurements so I can have the fit that I want. So now I'm going to cut everything, and I added an inch for the length. So now for the front piece, we are going to cut them in 2 separate pieces. The back piece we cut on a fold, but the front piece we are going to cut in 2 separate pieces. We are going to spread it as seen. No matter how it bends, the more you spread, the more volume of gathers you're going to get at the front. So I'm okay with the volume of gather I have here because I actually want the gather to be centered on the chest line to the hip line. And now I have my front piece ready. Next, I'm going to be cutting out the bottom band. Now I'm going to fold it up as seen and fold it like this. So this way I will have my bottom band cut on a fold as well as in 2 pieces. Now I'm going to place something on it, and I'm going to take my time to cut this out. This doesn't need a sewing allowance. Mind you, we cut it in 1.5 inch, so the half inch is going to be for the sewing allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead with my front pieces, take it to my sewing machine and sew on the side that is bent so I can gather it. I'm going to sew a simple stitch so I'll be able to gather it. Next thing, I'll be attaching the front pieces to the back piece to make it a full dress. I'll attach the sides together and also the shoulder sides. So I'll take that to my sewing machine, as you can see. Like I mentioned, this fabric is very stretchy, so I didn't add up sewing allowance. Make sure to take in as much allowance as you want to, because it's a stretchy fabric, so it doesn't matter. Now that I am done, this is what everything is looking like. Next thing to do is to fix my band. I'm going to fold my band as seen, making sure that the wrong face is touching the right face, so I have the right face on the outer side. Now I'm going to sew it up as illustrated on my sewing machine, and I am done. This is what it is looking like. If you want, you can sew it in the method where you have the rough edges all hidden, but I think I'm cool with what I did. Next thing is to cut out my sleeves. I'm going to fold my fabric in four, that way I will cut all my sleeves at once. Now I marked the full length, which I notched with my scissors. Because this fabric is very stretchy, my chalk will not be showing, so I just went ahead with my scissors. Now I use my armhole to get the armhole curve of the sleeve. I just place the armhole of the dress on that top part. As you can see, this is just a lazy method, but this is what I do almost all the time. So now for the wrist area, I measured my wrist and then I marked it on the lower part of the sleeve. So I just used that to get my sleeve curve. Just trace it up. I didn't really use measurements, and there I have both my sleeves already. So now I'm going to start sewing up the sleeve. You don't necessarily have to add an allowance if you want your sleeve to be fitting or to be fitted. I actually like the way mine was a bit loose, so now I'm going to sew up that up, and then now I'm going to attach it to the main dress itself. So if you want your dress to have a shorter sleeve, go ahead and do that, but I think I like what I have here. Next thing to do, which is bringing us close to the end of this tutorial, is to cut the collar. Now I'm going to mark around the neckline of the dress, and I had a total of 22.5 inches. Now I'm going to pick out pieces of fabric, and I'm just going to cut it in a bit slopey form, not totally straight, and then I'm going to mark 22.5 divided by 2 on that fabric. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark it to the length of 1.5 inch. I couldn't use my chalk because I mentioned the fabric is stretchy and it will be hard to draw my chalk on it. So now I have my collar already cut in 2 separate pieces. Once I open it up, I'll have my total of 22.5 inch, which was what we measured. I didn't add an allowance, that is because this fabric is stretchy. Now I'm going to curve the top side. That top side is going to be like the top side of the collar. If you can see from pictures, or if you look at a collar, your dress that has a collar or a shirt that has a collar, you will understand that curve that I did. So first thing, I'm going to sew up that top part, and after I am done sewing it, I'm going to start attaching the lower part of the collar to the neckline of the dress. Now I'm going to attach it in this method because I do not want to have the rough edges of the collar showing. If you want to have yours showing, I will advise you don't have it showing, because it's not professional and it won't look clean. I mean, for the main bodies you can have your rough edges showing, but for the collar, just try as much as possible to sew it in a way that the rough edges isn't showing, which is what I am doing right now. So now that I've attached only one side, the next thing, this is how I'll be sewing it up in order to have everything covered up, as you can see. So for the collar, you might want to take your time. I know this video was playing on a fast, but I hope the explanation was sent across. So just take your time with sewing the collar, most especially when you are working with a very stretchy fabric. Take your time and tighten up your stitch. If you're using a manual machine like mine, tighten up your stitch so you can be able to sew across, so you don't need to use paper or stuff. So now that I'm done sewing the collar, I can go ahead and top stitch again if you want to. But then we've come to the end of this tutorial. I went ahead and fixed my buttons, and then I went ahead to reduce the waistline of this because I want mine to have a type of fitting. Like, I want the waist to be a bit tight, but the lower bodies and upper bodies can be free, but I want the waist to be much tighter. Now this is the result of the tutorial. If you turn out to like this, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. So without any further ado, I'll see you in our next video, and I'll be showing you guys the results of this tutorial now.